But first, a federal judge says he is willing to unseal parts of the Mar-a-Lago affidavit. Justice Department prosecutors have 1 week to provide a redacted version of the document that authorized the FBI search of Donald Trump's Florida estate last week. The search warrant itself reveals the former president is being investigated for potentially violating the Espionage Act and obstructing justice. Catherine Herridge has more. Catherine.
There was court action from New York to Florida today that could have wide-reaching implications for the former president.
Federal Judge Bruce Reinhart found the Justice Department had not met the high threshold for showing the entire affidavit should remain sealed, and he ordered the immediate release of these procedural records that provide new insight into the possible crimes behind the Mar-a-Lago search. Willful retention of national defense information, concealment or removal of government records, and obstruction of a federal investigation. The judge agreed with media organizations, including CBS News, that at least some part of the affidavit that supported the search could be unsealed.
Balancing the interest in the public of accessing these materials against the interest in the government in keeping them secret.
Under today's order, the Justice Department has 1 week to propose what information they'd like to black out or redact from the affidavit. Information that, if made public, prosecutors believe would be a roadmap to the criminal probe and would reveal identities of potential witnesses and the FBI agents involved.
How much of the affidavit will the public see?
I think we can look forward to discovering a few more tantalizing. For the most part, we're not going to see the core of what we're all very interested in, none of which will be good news for former President Trump.
And earlier today, in a Manhattan court, the former chief financial officer of the Trump Organization pleaded guilty to not paying taxes on almost $2 million in compensation.
My chief financial officer, Alan Weisselberg.
In pleading guilty, Alan Weisselberg acknowledged conspiring with the Trump Organization to evade taxes, and he could be called to testify as early as this fall.
And Catherine joins us now. Catherine, we really appreciate you being here. You've done excellent reporting on all of this. Can you please talk to us about the significance of the FBI unsealing part of the affidavit if they're not going to reveal everything that's in it?
Well, Jamie, based on my experience working in this area for 2 decades, 99% of the time, the courts are deferential to the Justice Department, and they agree that the records can remain secret. So this is surprising, to say the least. And if you look at one of the records the judge ordered released today, this is an application for a search warrant. It tells us an awful lot about the FBI case. It says the probable cause for the search was evidence of a crime, and it also gets specifics on these federal statutes that are in play. One is the willful retention of national defense information. A second is the concealment or removal of government records. And then the third is this obstruction charge. So we got a great window today into the government's case. But again, it is so unusual for the courts not to be totally deferential when it comes to national defense information and a government case.
Yeah, it's interesting. We're getting so many pieces of the puzzle right now. How much of the affidavit will be uncovered? And do we have a timeline at this point?
Well, the first timeline that we have is a week from today. The government has got to go back to this probable cause affidavit, so the underlying evidence for the search of Mar-a-Lago, and they have to black out the sections that they think are sensitive from a national security perspective, might reveal too much about the investigation, or the identities of potential witnesses, as well as the FBI agents involved, because we know through our reporting here at CBS News that there have been ramped up threats against the FBI since that search. Then the next step is the judge is going to review those redactions and decide whether these big sections that are blacked out is okay by him, or whether he thinks there isn't a sufficient evidentiary basis to keep it secret. And he could go back and ask the Justice Department again to lift some of those redactions so that more of the document could be seen. So the shortest answer is the next big step is a week today, but it's still unclear how immediate any release of the document will be.
That makes sense. You know, in your piece, you talked to somebody who said that none of this information that gets released will be something that's good for former President Trump. Is there anything in it that could potentially be beneficial to him that he would want laid out there when you're talking about potential witnesses, that kind of thing?
I would argue that really it could go either way in this case. There could be evidence that is revealed that makes everyone say, okay, I get it. I understand why the FBI had to take this unprecedented step and search the home of a former president. Like, I understand the urgency. The flip side is that there could also be evidence that raised questions about the decision-making by the FBI and the Justice Department and whether there really was this immediate need to go into Mar-a-Lago, and had there been sufficient cooperation from Trump and his legal team over the returning of these records. So I actually think it could go either way. It could be extremely negative for the former president and his legal issues, or there could be a silver lining in the evidence that's released.
Well, no matter what, we have plenty to talk about. Catherine Herridge, thank you so much for staying on top of all of it.